Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast made by fans, for fans by fans, sorry, where the content is absolutely free. Great start to the new year there. This is episode 73 of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast. I am your host tonight, Colin Armstrong. We would ask you to subscribe and like the podcast and get the word out there on social media. The podcast is live tonight. We're live on the YouTube. You can join in via the comment section. I'll try and have a look at some of those as the night goes on. But we will also be available to download and stream on a number of platforms from tomorrow, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, and Spotify. Of course, if you're a regular listener, you'll know all that already. But I'm always thinking of the newbies. Only the two of us on tonight. It's myself and David Wren. How are you, David?
That was a bit of a car crash introduction there.
It's the first one of the new year. You know what I mean? And it was only a friend. It was only a friendly. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? Nobody cares about these things. So how was your festive period, your Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, it was good. Good back down the road from Dundee back to Kilmarnock for a wee while, and then was up here for New Year. But yeah, it's good to see Rangers obviously winning the last game before the break, but sort of twiddling my thumbs now, just waiting for the football to start again.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
No, I saw the goals. It was a sort of awkward time, but yeah, I kept up to date. But no, it's good. I don't know how much you would read into a game like that. I think it was just good for the players, especially the ones that haven't been playing much, to get a bit of game time. And I think the whole trip's good for the squad. You know, it's always good to get the players away on these sort of things, especially for guys like Kent, who, for instance, who signed later in the transfer window, but they got the initial trip away in the summer. So I think it's always good for team spirit and things like that to get off and get a bit of sunshine, especially this time of year.
It's also good for the likes of Morelos to get out of the country, you know, to avoid prosecution and all that kind of thing, eh?
Yeah, it's been a tough few weeks. But no, it was good. It was quite nice to see him back home in Colombia. To be fair, I saw some of that.
To be fair, I think he must need some of that as well, given some of the stuff that's been flying about after the Celtic game.
Yeah, but I think, one thing that you forget, and I think it's often forgotten about Morelos, is he's only 22, is he? And you know, he's living away from, you know, in the other side of the world, playing in Scotland, where the conditions, and Finland before that, the conditions are considerably different. It must be difficult for him to be so far away from his family and his home country. So, you know, to get the chance in the middle of the season to then go back and spend a bit of time, especially, you know, he is probably arguably the most high profile player in the country at the moment, and is constantly in the headlines for good or for bad. So yeah, it's probably been a well-earned break for him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, some of the stuff, we'll come on to that later on in the show. Some of the stuff on the back of the Old Firm game that I thought was quite ludicrous, actually. But so I agree. I think you're right that he can get away from all that and just, as you say, see family and all that again. So yeah, it's been good. I mean, we'll come and talk about the winter break, because we were having a wee chat in the WhatsApp through the week there, and you were sort of grumping and groaning about it. So we'll come on to that. So I thought we would have a look at the game yesterday. I mean, I never seen the game yesterday, but I kept up with it on Twitter and just checking in here and there. And it just, like what you said there, it just seemed like a good exercise to get, you know, minutes in the legs and give some of the boys that don't get a lot of game time a chance to impress. I thought Steven Gerrard made a very interesting comment after the game. We'll come on to cover that. We'll also have a wee look at the winter break, as I say, the January window as well, comings and goings. There's been a couple of those. We'll have a wee look at the Old Firm fallout. I mean, some of the nonsense has been incredible, I think. And we'll also look at the Stranraer game on Friday. And we'll talk about that 8-0 game. I'm assuming you weren't born in 1989, David.
Oh, I was 4 years away from birth, actually. My mummy and daddy hadn't even met by that stage.
Nice. That could be old enough to be your dad when I give it. There we go. We'll not go into that. Right, so we'll get into yesterday's game. Obviously, as I said, they're away out in Dubai, winter break, getting away. Now, Steven Gerrard went with a sort of plan of playing two entirely different 11s, one in the first half, one in the second half. First half, he went with Foderingham, Patterson, Edmondson, Katic, Barisic, Ryan Jack, who captained the team, Arfield, Aribo, Ojo, Barker and Defoe. In the second half, he went with Andy Firth in goals, Tav, Goldson, Flanagan, Halliday, Docherty, Davis, Kamara, Jones, Stewart and Kent. So again, it seems to me, just pretty much what we were saying there, David, that Gerrard sees this as an opportunity to, one, get the boys back up and running. They've had I'd imagine it'd been a week without any sort of training and stuff like that, a wee break. Back out to Dubai, quite a heavy training schedule from what I was reading. You know, the boys had a tough week, and then a game just to get the legs back up and running, and it gives some of these boys a chance to impress.
Yeah, I mean, the thought of Barker and Ojo on either wing sends shivers down my spine for a competitive game, but I suppose for a friendly, it's good to get a run out. But no, yeah, I think these games are, I think, especially in a training schedule like that, where, I would assume it's been quite hard. I think you would have ensured the pace of the sessions was high, and there's probably a couple of double sessions in there, so it's always good just to get, you know, some minutes in the legs, because it's obviously a lot different training and actually playing games. And I don't know the level of the actual opposition. Yesterday, I don't think it was particularly high, but it's good to just get back into it. And I think it'll be a nice going from that level of game into Stranraer next week. I think it's a nice sort of build up to then coming back into the league games. But yeah, it looked, I mean, the first 11 are much more familiar, I suppose. Looked at, you know, you've got a midfield there that wouldn't look out of place in a normal, you know, Premiership game. So, and yeah, it's good to see some of the younger boys getting a chance as well. And Edmondson, who I think's probably been quite unlucky this season in that Goldson and Katic as well as Helander have done so well, and have certainly been the first choice. I think Edmondson will have his time at some stage, maybe not this season, but perhaps next season. But yeah, I mean, another good performance by all accounts from Greg Stewart too, which is pleasing to see. And you just wonder if maybe he'll have a bigger role to play in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stewart's one of those ones I think a lot of us have felt sorry for, you know what I mean? And I think I kind of agree with most of what you were saying there, David. I think it's been very difficult for some of the guys who are on the fringe to get in. I mean, the title race is so tight at the moment. You know, you kind of get the feeling that Gerrard's thinking he can't change it too much. If a team's winning and players are performing, you know, he can't really give some of these guys the game time that he would maybe want to. And that was reflected in some of his comments that we'll come on to later on. But in terms of Gerrard's reaction after the game, you know, he said, in terms of the game, he says, that's what we asked for. We asked them to try and show what we've been working on all week, our organisation out of possession, and then what we do with the ball when we regain it, to play at speed. That makes it really uncomfortable for the opposition. So I thought in both halves there were a lot of positives. I was more pleased with the second half performance and shape. And this is the comments that I was wanting to talk about. It is funny. Football, as some people grab opportunities and some probably push themselves further away. And that's what happened today. Now, out of all these comments yesterday, I found those ones quite telling, David. It said to me that some of these boys that are on the fringes have not strengthened their case to get game time. Is that how you took that?
Yeah, I think that's probably what he meant. I'm not sure who he would have been referring to, but I think it'd be obvious that the likes of maybe Andy Halliday, Greg Docherty, Jordan Jones, Brandon Barker would certainly be the obvious ones. But it's difficult. I think at the moment we've got a first team squad, and generally we've got the same players every week, the same subs that are coming on and making a difference in the game. The likes of, I think, Barker hasn't impressed me particularly. And it's not really anything against him. I don't think it's it's not really his fault, in my opinion. I think he was brought in as a backup player, but I really don't think that if we want to get to where we're going, he's the sort of player we need. I just don't think he's got the quality required for us at this moment and what we need, especially in the wide areas. And I'm not sure. Again, I would assume it was the likes of Docherty and Halliday and Jones and stuff like that he was talking about. But certainly Greg Docherty's another one. He's not really featured, obviously, since he returned. And I don't think in the way we're going and where we want to be, I don't think Greg Docherty will probably have a future. I think with Docherty, he was one of the ones that was a fan, and you know, it's very romantic when you've got a player coming in that's been a Rangers fan as a kid. But for me, I didn't see anything when he first came that suggested he was going to be a good player for us, and I'm not surprised that he's not really had a chance under Gerrard. And again, it's not for the want of trying. I think he's a hard worker, and it's nothing like that. I just don't think he has the quality required, and probably the same could be said for Halliday. And obviously his contract's out in the summer, and he's a player I like, a player I respect, and I really love him as a proper Rangers man, as they say. But again, I would be surprised to see him offered a new deal, because even compared to last season, he's played very, very little football this season, and yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if he moves on as well. Jones, I'm willing to give a bit of a chance, because I think he showed signs. You know, he played in the cross in the Legia Warsaw game and made an impact, I think, in the first part of the season, and then obviously a stupid red card and stupid injury against Celtic, so that wasn't great for him. But I think there's something there. And he's a player, you know, that I'd covered while I was at Kilmarnock, working down there, and I was surprised when Rangers signed him, but I thought the early signs suggested that he maybe could do a job for us, and hopefully, if given the chance, in the second half of the season, I think certainly there's a place for him in the team in some capacity in a wide area. I doubt it'll be the left, because I can't see him getting Ken out of the team, but if there was any way of playing him elsewhere, I think he'd certainly be worth giving a chance to impress.
Excuse me, I slightly disagree on Docherty. I think when Docherty first arrived, I really liked the look of the boy. I thought the way he broke up play, I really liked that. And it wasn't through, you know, crunching tackles and all that kind of thing. It was more the reading of his game. You know, he knew where to be. One part of his game I thought let him down was his distribution, but stuff like that you can always improve on. But you have to remember, he signed for a Rangers team that was, you know, immeasurably poorer than the one that's there now, and that's where I kind of feel from. I think, you know, if he joined the club a year or two earlier, I think he'd have got a game time and maybe grown into being a Rangers player. But I think he's joined at the tail end of Pedro and Murty and all that kind of thing. You know, when that whole shambles was getting put to bed, the Steven Gerrard has come in and just lifted us to another level, especially in the middle of the park. You know, I would argue that could be our strongest area. We've got lots of options in there. And I just feel for him. I just feel he's fell down that pecking order, and I'd always kind of hoped there would be room for him at some point, but it just feels to me now it would probably be better, you know, for himself to move on. I don't know if another loan deal would be beneficial for him. When we signed Stephen Davis, the first one you thought of, well, the first one I thought of actually, I thought, well, you know, Ryan Jack might struggle to get in the team now. So if I'm thinking that about Ryan Jack, you can almost write Docherty off. He's not going to get in that team.
I think the biggest thing now, Colin, is that we as a club have moved on considerably from that Graham Murty team, and last season there was a bit of I'll use Halliday as an example. There was a bit of that sort of romantic again aspect of him being a Rangers fan, him doing anything for the club. And the fact that he put in a few good performances for Gerrard was really, really pleasing, and everyone was delighted with that first half of the season. Second half of the season didn't go his way as much, and then now we've got to, as a club, look at players like, I'll go through this team here. So you've got for me, Ojo, Barker, even Flanagan, Halliday, Doherty. All these guys, to me, just aren't quite the level that we need to get where we need to get to. And I think it's about being ruthless now, and I really believe that you can't really be sentimental about players, and I think Gerrard sees that too. And I think it's starting to get to the stage where, even if these are fan favourites and people that, players that fans like, there's just a bit of just needs to be a bit of ruthlessness there, and getting out, or letting the players go that just aren't going to be up to the level, and then bringing in better players to replace them, and also bringing through younger players from the academy to replace them that are slightly higher quality, because I think that's something that has to be done now as well, and that's about integrating the under-20s into the first team, rather than signing like Doherty, for example, off a Hamilton. We should be then looking to develop our own players again, instead of signing young players that have played 50 top flight games for Hamilton. So I just think we're bringing in a player to play to the way we play, whereas if you're bringing in Doherty, you're bringing in a player from a lesser team who is used to, just doesn't quite have that, even though he's a Rangers fan, doesn't quite have that winning mentality and that, big club mentality that even our younger players will have from being around the Hummel training centre on a daily basis. I just think for us now, we need to be looking at bringing in higher quality players, and also bringing through players that are going to be able to integrate into the first team quicker.
Yeah, again, excuse me, I think you're right. On Halliday, I think Gerrard described him last season as his sort of unofficial captain. And I think Halliday played a part in helping Gerrard, settle in and get up and running at Rangers. Because I think maybe Gerrard saw a wee bit of himself in Halliday. Similar background in terms of, born in the city of the club that they went on to represent, and grew up supporting that club. Obviously Gerrard is at a completely different level from Andy Halliday. But even that Celtic game last year, at the game at Ibrox on the 29th, Halliday smashed into someone in the first sort of 30 seconds and really set the tempo, and he had a great game that day. He really was one of the top three or four players and a great performance. But as you've pointed out, David, since then it's went downhill. He's featured less and less. Gerrard was always giving him a bit of game time, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. He's not even getting that now, so as you've pointed out, he's out of contract to the end of the season. It's hard to see a way back from it. I slightly disagree with Jordan Jones. I think there's a future for him. One I'm starting to think might be looking at the exit door is Flanagan as well, because I just think in Borna we have someone who is of such a high level. I think it was at the Aberdeen game up with Tawdry that Barisic missed that game, and I think Flanagan was kind of to blame for one of the goals, and Gerrard made a comment that sort of suggested that he expected a wee bit more from that, and he was one of the ones that got a bit of game time yesterday. So I kind of wonder if he is maybe included in the group of players that Gerrard has said they've not increased their stake for more game time. They've actually pushed it away. So I suppose we'll find out. We're in the January window. I think maybe one or two of those players that we've mentioned will definitely be on the way out. So time will tell, I suppose. On the academy players thing there, you're talking about integrating some of the young boys. There was Nathan Patterson got a game, James Maxwell, Kai Kennedy, they all got a bit of game time. And Gerrard was commenting quite positively afterwards, and he said he was going to have further discussions with Craig Mulholland in terms of increasing their opportunities and getting them in. But again, it must be quite difficult, especially when the league's so tight, and we've been in a situation we've not won a major trophy for a good number of years now, so it feels like there's not a huge amount of leeway to give these boys a chance. But the fact that Gerrard has recognised them, long term, and with the appointment of Ross Wilson, do you think that's where Rangers are maybe going now? try and improve the amount of players that we bring through for the academy, and the players that we can't produce, we buy.
If they're good enough, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. If they're ready to play, then play them. I'm not a massive believer in loaning them to. I mean, look at Josh McPake, for instance. He's come up to Dundee, and I've not seen a great deal of Dundee this season, but having spoken to people that do follow the club, he's just not managed to make an impact. And I think it's just difficult because these players, how much are they developing? Don't get me wrong, Dundee play some nice stuff. This isn't really a dig at Dundee. I think that was a good move at the time. I did think to go there and play with a half decent team in the Championship, but I'm not a massive believer in the loan system. I just don't know how it really benefits the players. Look at Ross McCrory even. He's gone down to Portsmouth and has come back already. Didn't really work out for him. I think he's one that should have a future. Certainly Ross McCrory. I think he could be a massive player for us in the second half of the season. I think he's proved himself. I was quite surprised Gerrard sent him on loan, but I'd like to see these players, given a chance. But is it easier to integrate them in the summer into the first team squad and then bring them into the start of next season really properly, or do we try and bring them into cup games this season? Do we try and as you say, it's difficult when you're in the midst of a title challenge and a title race. It's quite hard to then introduce these young players into the first team squad, and I think we've been stung quite a lot recently. Well, certainly the last 10 years, with players who have flat to deceive. Greg Wild would have been the first one, in my opinion, the last title winning squad, and then he just never really. He was a bit of a one-trick pony, and I think you've seen the way his career's gone, that maybe just didn't have the quality required, and then obviously the umpteen players that came through the system, went down the leagues. I mean, none of them, Fraser Aird, Robbie Crawford. The only one that maybe had half a chance was Lewis McLeod, and he obviously moved on quite quickly. I think we need to now turn our focus. The boy Billy Gilmour's obviously gone down and done really well at Chelsea, so hopefully there's more like him in our system that will be able to come in and make a difference. But as I say, I think it's we need to know they're good enough and can face up to the challenge, and B, they have to be integrated properly. I just don't think that personally the loan system's working very well for us at the moment. So I'd probably rather see us develop them ourselves some way, whether that's keeping them in a competitive environment in the development squad, or trying somehow to even get them 20 minutes here and there in some of the league games or in the cup. But I don't think there's I think everyone connected to the club would love to see us bring through all their own players as much as possible. But it just depends on a case-by-case basis, and ensuring that they're good enough and that they're ready for first-team football, because it is a big difference.
I think there's a good example of using young players well down at Liverpool. With how Klopp's done it, and I think Arsene Wenger done it a few years ago. He used the League Cup. I mean, the result that Liverpool's youngsters got against Everton, last week there. That's maybe, obviously, I accept that Everton are in a bit of a bad place at the moment, but you would have still expected them. When I saw the Liverpool team that day, thinking you would still expect Everton to get a result, and they didn't. And Klopp seems to just say, right, well, I want to win either the Premier League or the Champions League. Everything else is, and I don't think we're quite in as luxurious a position as that. I think everyone at the club wants a trophy, so up until that point, I think whoever's in charge, whether it be Gerrard or someone else, will always sort of look to play as strong a team as possible. But as we move forward, I think the League Cup could be a good place to put, give some younger players a chance to go out and see what they can offer, because you have seen it down in Liverpool that it's worked for Klopp. You know what I mean? All right. I mean, I think was it Villa they went to and they got an absolute horsing. I think it was 5 or 6-0, but it's still giving them that experience. It's still giving, even just being in the dressing room and knowing what it's like to be in a major tournament and for the first team of a major club. I think all that experience builds up, and so it's maybe something we could look at in the future. But I think at the moment, it's probably not for us because I think we're all just desperate for that first trophy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, again, I don't know if Everton were just, scared of that full occasion at Liverpool. I think in some ways that made it worse because they had an excuse if it was Salah and Mane and all the guys playing, but when you turn up and it's a bunch of kids, you just feel like if we, I think they'd have almost been shell-shocked. But yeah, I agree. I don't really get that. I would never want to see us do that because I think it's, I don't know, it just doesn't really sit right with me playing a full team of youngsters in a cup. I think it's okay, maybe 2, 3 maybe at the most from the start, but to play a full team I think is just a bit much. And even if we were going for the league and whatever else, I'd still expect us to be attempting to win every trophy available because I think that's just been the way of Rangers for so many years, and it would be wrong to change that and to approach any cup competition in that way. I think it's very,
it devalues the competition as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it shows a lot about English football that Liverpool would do that, and I don't really agree that it's such a great thing. I think it's pretty shoddy from all the club, not just Liverpool. I think there's a lot worse examples in Liverpool, the likes of Bournemouths and Burnleys and all these kind of clubs that maybe play lesser teams in cup competitions, and as well as that, the likes of Arsenal, Man United playing weak teams in the Europa League. It's, to me, it just makes no sense. And I think finally the Premier League is paying the price for all the years of absurdity that it's had, because this season's league's just been a bit of a car crash. I think today's result between Man City and Aston Villa show that, and maybe the league isn't the be all and end all for the clubs now. It shouldn't be, certainly. And I would never want to see us devalue a cup competition the way the English teams doing anyway.
There's a disparity of resources as well. I mean, you look at the FA Cup finals last season, Man City, was it 6-0 they beat? Was it Watford?
Yeah, I mean
that's a farce of a cup final, really, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I just find that I think when you look at, Arsenal are in, the thing that got me was looking at a team like Arsenal who have, a terrible run, and then you look at the league table and they're on 28 points, and Man U in 5th are on 34. So that's a difference. So Arsenal are having a terrible season. They're in 10th spot and they're level in points with Everton and Southampton. Southampton, who, were in a real terrible spot a couple of weeks ago. And there's that little difference between 5th and, 13th place in the league.
Yeah.
To me, and this isn't fair enough if that's after 10 games, 22 games in, more than halfway through the season. I think the bubble's busting in that league, and I think you're finding that Liverpool and Man City are so far ahead of every other club that it'll only get worse down there. And I think people say a lot about Scottish football, but
that's what I was about to say. It's starting to sound like the SPL.
No, that's the thing, and it's like people down there, they call this a pub league, but we can have a bit of pride in our league. Out with Rangers, I still have a lot of pride in the teams here, and I think there's a bit of authenticity to Scottish football that you don't get down there anymore. And I think
there's no half and half scarves down here or up here. Sorry,
VAR's had a massive impact. For some reason, they've invested in the worst possible VAR. I don't know how they've managed to get it so wrong, but to me, that doesn't offer the same drama that the World Cup and the Champions League does. I'm not a big hater of VAR. I thought last season, the Champions League, I thought the game Man City and Tottenham, it just added an incredible dimension to that game. I remember Guardiola running down the wing when he thought they'd scored, and then they hadn't, and it was just brilliant because you thought, wow, that was just. But now even the crowds and the players aren't celebrating goals because
I know. Yeah, no, they're all looking at the screen.
It's turning into an absolute farce of a league, and but in many ways it's great to see because the absolute greed it's epitomised the league for so long. You're even seeing clubs like Aston Villa, who I was desperate to come back up, and they spent 130 million, and they're getting horsed up 6-1 off a City. And to me, that's imagine you gave Rangers 130 million quid or Celtic. We would do anything for that sort of money.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I don't know if you listened to the podcast through the week with Stephen Gerrard and Jamie Carragher, and Carragher sort of alluded to what would Rangers and Celtic do if they came down south. Stephen Gerrard was very blunt. He was like, a lot of teams would be worried. He says, and that's why it won't happen. He was quite strong in that. He says it will never happen. He says, and that's why. He says because a lot of teams that are sort of chapping at that sort of top 4, top 6 could forget it. Because the minute you gave Rangers and Celtic that amount of money and that amount of turnover and media and all the rest of it, they would just go global. So. Yeah, if we got handed that kind of money, I'd be wanting the Champions League for 3 years in the trot. You know what I mean? You'd be thinking that is an obscene amount of money. Whereas down there, they're spending that, and they're in the bottom 3, Villa.
Well, that's the thing, and I think it's funny as well because take Rangers and Celtic out of the equation, and I think the idea of us going down there's come about 20 years too late, to be honest, because I just don't think. Now it would happen. I don't know if I would particularly want it to happen because what that league has now become, I don't know if I'd really want to be a part of it out with the money aspect. But even take Rangers and Celtic out of the equation, Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, Dundee United are all bigger than Bournemouth, Burnley, Brighton. I'm just focusing on the B teams. They're massive. I mean, they're clubs up here. They all turn those up, but they're top flight. There's clubs there that we've got bigger clubs out even without Rangers and Celtic. I think the four I mentioned there, you would class as more successful and bigger clubs than some of their top flight teams.
Not like a Norwich or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think.
Just to get you away for the Bs.
Yeah, no, I'm actually struggling to think of anyone else on the B teams at the moment. But you know what I mean? I mean, we have a lot of big clubs up here. I mean, 2 huge clubs, and then other teams that have done great things as well. Aberdeen have achieved more in Europe than I think more. You'd be looking quite far down the list to find.
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
been success in the last 30 years. You know what I mean? So it's difficult then to. English football is a bit of a bugbear for me. I just find it all a bit. I've barely watched it this season, and I'm much more interested in what Rangers are doing and Scottish football as a whole, because I think we've just got so much more to offer, and I think I don't like hearing people talk Scottish football down because I think. At the moment, Rangers and Celtic have run away with it. Fair enough, but there's still a lot of drama elsewhere in the league, and I think and in the Championship as well. There's Dundee United are going to come back up to the top flight next season probably, which will be good for the game. Even if they're not great friends of Rangers, it'll just be another it'll be another fixture to look forward to for Rangers.
You've just lost us about 70 viewers there. But we'll go into that. I know what you mean, but I mean, I think that the thing that bothers me about the Scottish game is the certainly when I was growing up, I don't remember the same level of bitterness that's there now, and I don't just mean sort of between Rangers and Celtic. Just in general, I don't think there's a healthy attitude about the game now. And when I hear some comments of people, I just think, oh my God, you need to have a real look at yourself and your life if that's how you're behaving. But I know what you mean. I mean, the English game is off the scale, and there is probably a wee bit more authenticity around our game. But there is one thing about our game you don't like that I'm going to get us onto now, and that's the winter break. So, I mean, we've had 2 weeks off there. No, I've got to say, I was never a big fan of the winter break, and it just seems to come. The thing that annoys me is the weather is so unpredictable now. You could have a really mild January and have a stinking March. You know what I mean? And that was always the argument. Oh, the weather and all this kind of thing. But I'm actually now kind of coming round to the view that what, they've played so many games. I'm just talking about the Rangers at the moment. I mean, we started our UEFA Cup or Europa League campaign in July. You know what I mean? So I was kind of thinking, you know what? These guys deserve a week just to go away and then come back, refreshed and ready to go again. But you've got stuff that you don't like about the winter break, David. So give us it.
I think, fair enough, like getting a break, fine. But then we're absolutely cramming games into the end of January, and it's not really conducive to avoiding the things that we want to avoid by having the winter break, like injuries and things like that. And I just don't, as you say, the winter is the weather is unpredictable too. The other thing I don't like, and something that hadn't actually came to my mind until over the festive period, and someone had put on Twitter about the fact that there's no more New Year's Day games, which were a real tradition for a few years there, and that's something that was good as well about the festive football. And it feels like before New Year, all the Scottish football's finished, so you lose that festive aspect to it as well, and you lose the New Year games. And I just think it's a pretty long break at an odd time, and there's a lot of games crammed in thereafter. I just don't know to see what we gain. Instead of spreading games out accordingly, we're just taking a big chunk out of January and then cramming loads of games in after that, and important games as well. Which,
well, I think that could be the issue. The issue is just how many games we're asking these guys to play. Is that not maybe the problem? And I think the same could be said down south as well. The amount of games that we ask these guys to play is just becoming ridiculous. And that's maybe why some managers are saying, you know what, see, for that competition, I'm just going to shove the kids in. Because there doesn't seem to be any consideration, in my opinion anyway, for what we're asking these players to do. You know what I mean? Especially clubs that are at the higher end and are competing in Europe, Champions League, Europa League, all that kind of thing. I mean, the amount of games that Rangers had to play just to get into the group stages of the Europa League was nothing short. I mean, that would have, going back to the old days when I was growing up, that would have won you the tournament. If you've played 8-9 games in Europe, the very least you've done is reach the final. You know what I mean? Now you're having to play that just to actually qualify. And I think that's what the problem is. I think that's what we need to look at. But the big issue is there's so much TV now, and it's not just about the punters who are paying at the gate to go in and watch it. It's about making sure that every night when you go home, if you stick on Sky Sports, BT Sport, Premier Sport, Amazon Prime Sport, there's a game on, and that's the issue, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the European aspect of it was a big issue. With that was the poor performance of teams in Europe, and we were a part of that with the Progress debacle. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that'll improve in the years to come after success of the Old Firm clubs. But no, I agree. I think it is a lot of games for the players, and I think a lot of it is to do with, especially down south, ensuring that there are games on all the time. But we have big squads, and you'd like to. I personally, domestically, I don't think in Scotland we have. Don't think it's absurd, to have 38 league games and the cup games on top of that. I don't think that's too bad. But the issue with the winter break is I feel like it was brought in to avoid games being postponed for the weather. It felt like at the time, and that just doesn't seem to make any sense. It's very much like, I just feel a lot of these decisions that are made over things that people ask for across football, not just in Scotland, I think all over the place. people say we should do this, we should have this thing, whatever it is, winter break, VAR, whatever. We should do this, and then it's just whoever's in charge of doing that always seems to do it in a very strange way that just wasn't quite what everyone had in mind. And I think the winter break falls in that category.
You've also got the possibility, Rangers and Celtic are still in Europa League. Now, if they have extended runs, which, looking at some of the teams that are still in there, isn't beyond the realms of impossibility. You know what I mean? I think both teams have got decent draws. I think they're on a knife edge. Both could go through. One could go through. Both could go out. But if they have an extended run, I mean, what happened in 2008 with Rangers? If you're taking 2 weeks out of the season, it could also impact it in that way. But I mean, I'm like you. I'm not a huge fan of the winter break. I find winter depressing enough as it is without any football, I must admit. However, I must admit, on the last couple of occasions, given the amount of games that they've played to get into the Europa League, I can understand why the clubs themselves, and Steven Gerrard certainly seems quite happy that they're getting a chance to go away, recharge the batteries, and then go again. From a supporter's perspective, I find it quite frustrating because I don't think January is what it used to be. You used to get heavy snow, and there was a good chance there would be a lot of call-offs in sort of December, January time. That's out the window now. You know what I mean? I've walked out there at 12 degrees in January, and then come March, you're getting 2-3 feet of snow and the beast from the east and all that. So I'm like you. The reasons that it's there, I don't quite agree with. However, given the way the seasons went this season, I think it came at a good time. I'm going to be honest.
Well, I suppose time will tell, and hopefully come Stranraer game, we're ready to go, and it's
ready to go. Yeah.
But to be fair, last season as well, who were we meant to be playing? Was it Fraserburgh? And that get called off.
Was it Cowdenbeath? Was it no Cowdenbeath? It was because the ball Donald Finlay.
Yeah, that's right.
And we missed that game, and so we went to the Kilmarnock game quite cold, I thought.
Yeah, and then it showed. I mean, we got there like and then we just need to make sure that I think it'll be good to the Stranraer game, and obviously we know that will go ahead on Friday because it's at Ibrox. So there shouldn't be any worries there, and that'll give us a good little buffer before we go back to league action.
League business. Obviously, the January window's opening now, David. So in terms of ins and outs, we've already had a couple. Andy King's away; he's gone. Eros Grezda, he left the club last week there. 17 appearances he made. He's away back to Osijek. Now, the nature of this deal makes me think that we're seeing the first sort of insight to what Ross Wilson can offer the club, because apparently he's got us quite a good deal at this. Apparently, we've got a small fee now. We've recouped a small fee, and there's a significant sell-on clause included in the deal. Plus also any instalments that we had left to pay to Osijek, that's done. And it also frees up, apparently he was on a reputed £7,000 a week. So it frees up his salary, which we could maybe reinvest in someone else. Grezda himself, now I know, I struggled to want him, I must admit. I found him, there was a couple of games last season when at Ibrox, and I thought, we're starting to see the best of this boy here, and I'm sure he scored a couple of goals against somebody. I can't quite remember who it was against, but
I think it was Motherwell. 7-0.
Was it the 7-0 game? Other than that, there wasn't much came from him. He was obviously involved in that spitting incident, and it kind of felt like it was the right thing to do. His time was up. He said on Instagram this week, sometimes in life things don't go as we wish, but important thing is to never give up on your dreams. Wishing all the best to my teammates and club. We are the people. #55. Your thoughts on Grezda?
Just one of the ones to forget. I think it was never really. I don't know. It was a bit like Barisic before Barisic was the greatest left back to ever pull on the Rangers jersey.
I don't think Barisic was ever quite that. Well, maybe that's.
It was the same sort of thing though. It was like he always felt like he was playing within himself, and I don't know. It was a hard one. I think Mark Allen made a few mistakes as director of football, and probably that was one of them. I just always felt like he didn't quite look like he was confident. He didn't quite look like when he got the ball he was going to do anything with it. And yeah, listen, it happens. Don't always get. I think we've done quite well at us check with Barisic. He's so yeah, 1 out of 2 is okay. And yeah, he's just one of the. I don't think he'll live long in the memory for Rangers fans. Bit more disappointed to see Andy King go. I thought he might have had a part to play, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, he doesn't. Either way, he didn't. And as I said earlier in the podcast, I think hopefully Ross McCrory will have more of a part to play in the second half of the season than King did in the first.
I actually, with King, I didn't think he would be someone who would get a huge amount of game time. I didn't think he would get a huge amount of starts. I thought he would always be someone coming on, 20 minutes to go and all that. But I thought, he's won a Premiership title. He's maybe someone that would give us more in the dressing room than on the pitch. Someone who would be able to go around the boys and talk them through what's required and what they need to do. But as you say, for whatever reason, it's just not happened, and he's away back down the road. In terms of, this is Ross Wilson's first window, and Gerrard's already been on record as saying, I think there will only be movements in the way if they can get 3 or 4 out the way. Now, we spoke earlier on about Greg Docherty, I think Matt Polster, Middleton, all these kind of boys. It feels like the Rangers need to trim down their squad. Now, in the long term, I was saying the other now that it seems that Ross Wilson's done quite well, and in the deal that got Grezda out the door. So I think we're looking at him to pull something out of the hat here as well with a few others. But that seems to me an area that Rangers are looking to improve on. The players that they bring in and then move on. Increasing that revenue part from players going out. Is that one of his sort of prime tasks over the next few years, David?
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to be smarter in the way we let players go. For instance, it's been quite nice, albeit we don't want them to leave, but it's been quite nice this season to see some of our players linked with big clubs. Morella's a funny one. He's one of them that's not really been linked with a club as such, but linked with a move. So we've not really heard many clubs that have been interested other than, I think maybe Crystal Palace, maybe Newcastle. But again, not quite concrete stuff. The other two that have come out have been Glenn Kamara and going to Juventus, and Barisic. I know you're going to mention Barisic to Roma.
Yeah,
they would both be, for me. It's good to see our players being linked with clubs like that, and I think for Ross Wilson, it's important that we are getting good money for our talent, because I think for a long time we've not been getting that. And listen, if you turn around to me and said that in the summer we would sell Kamara, Barisic, and Morella's all 3 for what would be a reasonable amount, say 45 million for the 3, you would take that, wouldn't you? And I think hopefully that wouldn't be unrealistic if we could, if the prices being quoted were realistic for Morella's and the others. But yeah, we need to be selling our players at higher rates if they are going to move on, and make sure we're getting sell-on clauses in there, and we're not being sold down the river, because how many times in recent years have we been selling players for next to nothing and with no sell-on clauses.
I think it's a model that Celtic have used fairly successfully. There has been a few duds in there, and I think that's maybe that comes with the territory. If you're going to go in and try and buy players low, you're like a Grezda. You're going to bring someone in for $1 million, $2 million in the hope that you'll sell them on for 8, 9. Every now and again, you're going to get one that doesn't really work out. But yeah, you're right. It's an area that we've been really, really poor on, and something that Celtic have probably been better at over the last few years. And I think when you consider the performances, especially in the Europa League, with people like Kamara and Morelos and Barisic, then it doesn't surprise me that they've been linked with some of these teams. You know what I mean? Because the performances in that arena have been exceptional, especially Morelos and Barisic. So, yeah, I mean, you don't want these players to go. You want to keep them, but we also have to be realistic and think, we have to become self-sufficient. The board have already said at the AGM a couple of months back that, the front-loading investment that they've been doing can't continue. So that is an area I feel that we need to improve on.
Yeah, I think you'll find, it's just unrealistic. I don't want in the next AGM to be seeing balance sheets like we have done for the past, however many years. And I think, if say for talking sake, you sold Glenn Kamara for £5 million, that's a great profit, for a player who we signed for £50,000, and that's exactly what we should be looking to do is, buy low and sell high. And I think it's just, I'd be quite happy for all three of them to go in the summer, as long as we were getting good money to then reinvest and bring in players of a similar calibre that we could then, do the same with, because realistically we're a selling club, and I think we need to make sure that as a club we're in a good financial state, and I think the only way we're going to be able to do that is by making profits on players.
I'll wrap up the January window stuff. If anyone is coming in, and Gerard's already said that it's solely dependent on how many go out, so they're obviously looking to get people at the door, get money in terms of possible transfer revenue, and also free up wages. If we're signing one player, what area in the park do you think we need to strengthen most?
Right wing, I think, would be the biggest concern for me, because I think Aribo's done well there recently, but I'm not sure he's going to be the long-term answer. I don't think Ojo's. I think if it was up to me, I would send Ojo back to Liverpool, because I just don't think he gets it. I don't think he's particularly enjoying it either, by the look and the way he sort of is in the park. He's obviously got good attributes, there's no doubt about that. He's a big, strong boy, fast, but for me, he just isn't going to do in that position. And I don't think any of the others, like Barker, I think Barker's, as I said earlier in the podcast, I don't think he'll do. I like Aribo there, but I don't think long-term that's going to be his position. Again, I think Arfield can do a job there, but I don't think that's his position either. So I'd like to see us bring in someone with a bit more quality in a wide area to complement, Kent and Morelos in that front three.
There you go. I would quite like someone to come in, another goal scorer. My biggest fear is, even for 3 weeks, something happens to Morelos and we have to rely on Defoe. And I think Defoe can carry us so far, but I think if we were looking for a prolonged period, it might become an issue. So I think I'd quite like to see another striker coming in. But time will tell. The window's open, and Ross Wilson and Stevie G will be doing what they've got to do to get the squad in that they want to have a tilt at this. Moving on, David, try and quickly go over some of the stuff that came out of the Old Firm game. Now, there's been some ridiculous stuff. Chris Sutton just seems to be, one flew over the cuckoo's nest territory with some of his comments. He's wanting Morelos jailed, I think, for his alleged gesture. John Hartson was complaining about the way Steven Gerrard shook Lennon's hand at the end of it. There's loads of stuff on Celtic Twitter, like Celtic fans claiming that Morelos assaulted Ryan Christie after the game, and he didn't go to Colombia to see his family. He was actually fleeing the country because Ryan Christie wanted to press charges. And then we also had Ryan Christie was also banned. He got a retrospective ban, and I think it's the first Celtic player to receive a retrospective ban from the compliance officer. And Celtic totally threw the the dummy out the pram. They released a statement saying Celtic Football Club and Ryan Christie are extremely disappointed at the outcome of the hearing. Given the recent treatment of Celtic players and the lack of sanctions being imposed on those responsible, the fact that the sanction has been imposed on Ryan for the incident in question demonstrates a worrying lack of consistency in the Scottish FA fast-track process, something I think us Rangers fans have been complaining about for a long time now. Naturally, we will be contacting the Scottish FA regarding our concerns. This is a bit that got me. Scottish football deserves a discipline process which is fair, consistent and fit for purpose. Now, given the amount of even Scott Brown, the amount of stuff that he's got away with, they're taking a piss a wee bit there, David, with that comment, are they not?
I'm gonna disappoint you here, Colin, but it really doesn't. I just run out of things to say about that. To me, it's just noise, and it's trying to detract away from what actually happened on the pitch, which was
that we beat them.
A good performance by Rangers. That I think anyone that watched the game and any Celtic fans and anyone that plays or manages Celtic could see that we were the better team that day, and the rest of it, I find it funny, like anyone else does. Some of the stuff that's come out, but to me, I don't want to sound boring and like I'm avoiding your question, because as a journalist, I know all about this sort of thing. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me. I'm just focused on the next game, Colin.
That's probably the right way to be, David. I just
don't see it. There's just not enough there. There's not enough happening to make me. I used to get really annoyed, like when we were in the lower leagues and stuff, and I found myself getting quite bitter about like certain things that were happening, whether it was them beating Barcelona in the Champions League, all that kind of stuff used to make me feel so annoyed and bitter. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm only really interested in what's happening at Rangers, and to me, it's not worth getting annoyed about, and it's not something that I do much. I feel quite comfortable in the fact that we are in charge of I think especially since Gerrard came in, we are very much in charge of our own destiny. I think we've got a good team, a good manager, and I hope that this year is the year and we don't make the same mistakes we made last year, because in my opinion we threw away the league last year, and I think results would back me up on that. So I would just let them go on with whatever they want to say and whatever they want to do. And yeah, I think it's I think historically it's always been Rangers. Certainly in my experience, we've always managed to take the moral high ground, both as fans and certainly a majority of the fans and the club itself. I don't really like the statement wars and all that kind of stuff and all the stuff that comes with it. I just think at the moment we're in such a good position, and what I want to see above all else is just us to come back in after this break and really stamp our authority in the league, and make sure we don't let anything from outside of what we can control affect us, because this is the biggest opportunity we'll have, and I worry that if we don't focus on the right frame of mind, and we don't focus on it, we could let it slip again. And last year was quite tough to take in the way it went down, especially the way their season went, losing the manager and stuff like that. We had a right opportunity last season, so we need to realise how big an opportunity this is, and how big a moment that was, even bigger than last season's first win over Celtic. I just think this is a huge opportunity, and yeah, I mean, all the stuff, Chris Suttons and all that, they can really say what they like. But for me, in the way I look at things, it's not really something I worry about or take great notice of, because I just think if you want a real emotion, I feel when I see it all, I just find it quite amusing and quite funny, but it's not something that outrages me. And I think social media is just one of these things that a lot of incidents snowball, and there was a lot of nonsense in the pitch in that game, both teams. And it was a game, and everyone was punished. And Morelos was suspended for the next game. Christie was suspended. Maybe just everyone should move on and focus on their own battles moving forward.
Well, I'll tell you what, David, I might be old enough to be your dad, but it's obvious who the more mature correspondent is here. Because I'm fizzing. Right, we'll move on. The game on Friday, first game back after the break. I agreed, sort of what you were saying earlier on. I think the game last season, the game at Cowdenbeath that was postponed, meant we went to a really tricky tie against Kilmarnock cold, and we got found out. So this Friday night, William Hill Scottish Cup live on Premier Sport means we have to subscribe to another channel for those of us that aren't going. I'll be there, but for those that aren't going, you've got to subscribe to another channel. We haven't won the cup in 11 years now, David. 2009 against Falkirk. How important is it that we end that run?
Yeah, it'd be great, but I always worry about. There was a thing going about, like maybe when Gerrard came in, and it was like, oh, we need a second place and win the Scottish Cup. I just don't like saying we need to win a cup, because I think it's so like difficult to predict that and to aim to win a cup, because it's the knockout system's so difficult. But yeah, I don't envisage many issues this Friday, but you'd love to. I quite like the Scottish Cup. I like the fact. I just think it's still got a bit of romance to it. You know, you've seen Knockin like Talbot and stuff winning games over the past few years, and it's still got that nice aspect to it. It'd be good to get to another final this season. I think, you know, we should have won the League Cup final. We've obviously, I think, historically got a better record than the League Cup. But yeah, I'd bite your hand off for the Scottish Cup this season for sure, and hopefully starting Friday, that will be our year.
In terms of, you know, kind of going back to stuff that we're talking about earlier on, I mean, how does Gerrard approach this? Does he view it as a chance to give some of the fringe players a chance, or maybe even a couple of the academy boys, or does he think, no, I just want to get through? I mean, Stranraer are sitting at the bottom of League One, so you would assume that we would have enough, you know, regardless of the first 11 that he put out, that we would get through. But it's also coming back to that, getting guys back in the groove, getting minutes in the legs before we hit the league campaign. So does that make it tricky in terms of team selection?
If it was me, I'd play a strong team. I'd probably play Foderingham in goals, and then, but I think back four I would have Barisic, Katic, Goldson, and Tavernier, and then probably, I don't know if I would play Davis, but I would play Jack, Kamara, Aribo, and then, you know, Arfield, Morelos, Kent. I would go quite strong, just for the reason that I think we need to make sure that we're sharp for the league starting again. I don't really see a point in bringing in, you know, fringe players. If he was going to do that, as we mentioned earlier, you know, maybe a young player here or there would be okay. But yeah, I would probably go strong, just for the sake of getting competitive football back into them and make sure they're sharp for the league starting again.
I mean, if you go strong, I suppose it gives you the opportunity that if all goes to plan, and hopefully you're maybe 3 or 4 up, you know, by maybe the hour mark, you can make those changes, get some boys on, you know, some of the fringe players on to get some game time and stuff like that. But I'm with you. I think he should go with a sort of. I don't see the point in having that game before the league campaign starts without giving the majority of your sort of regular starters a run out. In the Stranraer lineup, David, there was a story in the Scotsman. You were talking about it on the chat earlier on today about Ryan Stevenson. You said that sort of struck you, that story. So what was it about that got you?
I just thought it was a really honest take from Ryan Stevenson, and for context, he retired at the age of 32, and also split up with his wife.
His wife, yeah.
Of I think 9 years, and basically hated life and hated football, and didn't have much.
It seemed to me like it was a bit of a mental health thing going on there.
Yeah, I think he was basically just depressed and you know, was hating life and didn't watch football for 14 months and didn't have anything to do with it, and he went to Troon Juniors in Ayrshire and kind of get his football career back on track. He'll now walk out of Ibrox this Friday. And I just thought it's just refreshing to hear, a player, and Ryan Stevenson's a player probably. I don't really know if I don't think there's any really ill feeling from Rangers towards him or anything like that. I don't think it's that, but there certainly is. I think he's one of the players that certainly where he has played in the rival clubs. He's an easy because of all the tattoos and stuff, and the way he played, he was a good, strong player. But to see him come out and go public with this sort of thing, I think is really important. I think mental health with footballers is really important. And a lot of what he said seemed to centre around the fact that he wasn't sure what to actually do once he gave up football, which I think would be extremely common for players who are giving up football, because it's all they've really known. And yeah, it was nice to see that he's back on the straight and narrow almost, and has managed to get past the issues he was having. He's it's a good example for any players out there that are feeling a similar thing, and I think it'll be nice. It'll be nice to see him walk out with Stranraer on Friday after overcoming this and actually getting to a point where he thought he wouldn't play football again.
Yeah, I mean, I had a read it tonight just before we came on air, and it was the amount of time that he was out. You would think after that amount of time that he would maybe struggle to get a club. It was like 3 years or something he was out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean some of the stuff, I always think it's quite. It must be difficult, especially in a very sort of masculine environment like football. You know what I mean? And it's all very strong characters, and there's a lot of testosterone kicking about. To kind of come out and say, I had these problems. I found it quite interesting that his mate was sort of digging him up and saying, right, his mate had the gym, and he's like, right, get down to my gym at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're training with me, and and I think something like that, a focus, to get up and to do that has obviously helped him. Yeah, so aye. I thought it was quite a heartwarming story. Still hope his team gets pumped on Friday though. But it's nice to see, as you say, that he's on the straight and narrow. Quickly try and sum up now. I put this on the agenda, David, and you don't remember it, but it is, for some reason, it's quite a big game for me. I was 89. I'd have been 16. I'd have maybe been 15 at the time of this game. I'd have maybe been just before my 16th birthday. Rangers beat Stranraer 8-0, and Alan McCoy's missed a penalty in the last 2 minutes. I was in the West Enclosure that day. Mind, it was a pretty dreich day, and I just remember when it was 8-0. I just remember, as I said, I was only young at the time, thinking, Rangers are going to get 10. And I've never seen that. I can't recall ever seeing them getting 10, and then when they got the penalty, it was like 5 minutes to go, and you think, right, if they get that, they can go for the 10. And McCoy ballooned it out of the bar, and that was it. And he was telling a story recently about the Stranraer game that when he was at training, I think they were still training at the old Albion across the road. He was coming out of the Albion, and a punter handed him his betting slip, and it said Rangers 9, Stranraer 0, pound stake, and it was 100-1. And so I think McCoy's felt quite bad. He sort of laughed and joked about it, but the punter was like, you cost me £100 by missing that penalty. But for some reason, it's just a game that sticks out in my mind. But obviously, you're just a baby, so probably no point in talking about it. But it was back in I remember being in the West Enclosure, and this will be another thing you don't remember. You used to get guys kicking about the grounds in those days in the standing area, selling macaroon bars and Wrigley's chewing gum and all that kind of thing. Things of yesteryear, you don't get them now. You know what I mean? It's just strange. After Stranraer, David, sorry, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, I remember Ali McCoy. So that's about all I knew from the.
He was still going, but about 10 years later. Well, you'd maybe remember him for Kelly as well, But well, after Stranraer, we've got 3 games in January: St Mirren at home, Hearts away, Ross County at home. Tynecastle away could be tricky, but overall a decent January and really important based on, as we were saying last year, when we came back against Kelly. and lost those 3 points. Really important that we win those 3 games, David.
Yeah, I think, the Hearts are. It's never an easy place to go, and I think they always up their game when Rangers or Celtic are in town. So that will be difficult, and I think the new manager will have his own ideas by the time the league starts up again. Hopefully, should be straightforward enough. But yeah, I think if we can get 9 points, it would just set the tone for us, and make sure that we're really, sticking with them. Celtic go to Kelly, I believe, the first game after the break. Certainly the first league game after the break. That's not easy.
No.
Although Kelly aren't doing very well, it's a horrible place to go. And Kelly have still got a lot of players that have been successful. And the pitch is a hard one to play on. So hopefully, you never know what could happen there. But yeah, I think we need to focus on ourselves, and hopefully 9 points from these 3 games will help to set the tone nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fixtures in the fixtures in February are fairly friendly as well. And I was sort of having a wee look, and I think we play Celtic mid-March on about the 16th or something like that. And up until that point, the fixtures are fairly decent. So you're kind of thinking, if we maintain the form that we've had up until this point, that game at Ibrox could be really crucial, because I think Celtic have got a slightly tougher run. But you never know. I'm speculating and obviously being a bit hopeful, but you just never know. But anyway, I think we've sort of overran by a wee 10 minutes. It's probably as good a time as ever to call it quits. So a big thanks to David Wren tonight. Great stuff from him, as always. And that's it from this week's episode of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is made by fans for fans. First episode of 2020, so a sort of belated Happy New Year to all our listeners. We'll have a show next week, Stranraer games on Friday. There will be a show next Sunday to cover that and to preview the games coming up after that. In the meantime, get yourself onto Gersnet and the forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. And until next week, bye for now.